Hey, so in this video, I am going to unlock for you and describe for you a very little known technique for uncovering fantastic and fabulous and highly profitable stock investments that the pros use all the time and institutional investors use all the time, but it's little known by retail investors. And I'm going to talk about it in this video and tell you all about it. So there is a method that you can use to find all of the top investments that all of the world's best money managers and best investors have made in the past quarter and throughout the years. You can see what their top holdings are. You can see what positions they've increased in the last quarter. You can see what they've sold. You can see their top investments. And it's very, very easy. And the way you can do this is by studying their 13F filings. So what is a 13F filing? A 13F filing is a filing that is required by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, to be filed by every money manager has discretion over at least $100 million of funds and invest those funds in the public securities market. So what exactly is a 13F filing? Well, a 13F filing is a quarterly report required by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for institutional investment managers who manage at least $100 million in certain equity securities. The purpose of the 13F filing is to increase transparency regarding the securities holdings of large institutional investors. This allows investors and analysts to gain insights into investment strategies and track market trends. This is exactly what we're trying to do as an individual investor. See what the big boys are doing, see what the people with the best track records in the industry, like Ken Griffin of Citadel, like Stanley Druckenmiller of Duquesne, like Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway. So who has to file this 13F? Institutional investment managers with U.S. operations managing over $100 million in qualifying securities. This includes entities that invest or exercise investment discretion over accounts. Examples are investment managers, banks, insurance companies, broker-dealers, pension funds, corporations, and hedge funds. The filings includes holdings of Section 13F securities, which include equity securities trading on national exchanges, certain equity options, warrants, and convertible debt, shares of closed-end investment companies and ETFs. The report must disclose the institutional investment manager's name, and for each security held, the issuer's name, class, CUSIP number, market value, and number of shares. So by following the 13F filings of these major investors, you can see what they're investing in, what they're buying, what they're selling, and how much they own of each security. This is, to me, absolutely invaluable in figuring out what I'm going to buy, what securities I should look at, and what are some of probably the best investment opportunities out there. I think this is absolutely incredible. And as luck would have it, there is a website called Hedge Follow, okay? And I'm not promoting this website. I'm not getting paid to promote them or anything like that. It's just a tool that I use that is very convenient to do the research on this stuff. I'll put the address in the description below. You can check it out. It's just hedgefollow.com. And what this actually does, let's take a look at it. Okay, so you see here, this is the website. What this allows you to do is you can go in and, pick the investor that you want to look at. I'm going to look at Ken Griffin and Citadel, which is one of the largest hedge funds, or the largest hedge fund. Let's take a look at that. Look at this. You get kind of like a heat map of all of his holdings, and it lists them here. by largest holding to smallest holding. And you can see in this case, Schwab is his biggest holding. It's 1.57% of his portfolio, 20.5 million shares. The value of the holding is 1.6 billion. This is very important. This shows that in the latest quarter, he bought another 18.41 million shares at an average price of $76.15. So he just bought a bunch more of this company. And, from a timing perspective and a valuation perspective, I think that's extremely interesting. Some of his other top holdings here are Hess Corporation, an oil and gas company. I think this is interesting. Invesco, which in a recent video I recommended that was one of the best ways to play the current rally and to play tech stocks in the QQQ, which basically tracks the NASDAQ 100. That's his third largest holding at 1.11%. He owns 2.42 million shares. The total is 1.13 billion. And he just increased that. He must have been watching my videos. He just increased that, almost 1,500%. Oh my God. That is really unbelievable. So obviously Ken Griffin is following my channel very, very carefully. And he's probably a subscriber. But look, you can see this heat map. You can zero in on this. Here you can see the same information that we just went over. And it's just, oh look, he's got JP Morgan too. That's another one I recommended. That's a big holding too. But to me, this is incredible to get a view into someone like Ken Griffin and his hedge fund. Let's take a look at another one right now. Let's take a look at Stanley Druckenmiller, another investor that I cover on the channel. Here he is, Stanley Druckenmiller. And again, you can see the same heat map that we saw before. And you can see his top holdings here. He's got almost $3 billion under management. This is his family office. And his top holdings are Natera Inc. I'm not that familiar with it, but I'm familiar with Teva Pharmaceuticals, which is number 2. It shows you that he recently increased his ownership in Teva Pharmaceuticals by 65.38% in the past quarter. He owns $228 million of it, 14.88 million shares. Another one I like, Philip Morris, is one of his biggest holdings. Let's see what else he's got here. Taiwan Semiconductor, another biggie, right? Playing the AI game. This is where NVIDIA has all of their chips made. Taiwan Semiconductor. Ooh, he recently made a 456% increase in his holdings in the past quarter. That is huge. And, he was, I think, interviewed recently talking about Taiwan Semiconductor and Teva. So that's consistent with what we've been hearing in the press. He's got some banking exposure with Barclays, and so on. This to me, just to be able to zero in on what Stanley Druckenmiller owns every quarter and keep an eye on it. Another thing that you can look at here is the largest trade. So you hit largest trades, and these are the biggest trades that he made in the last quarter, which is crazy. Teva Pharmaceutical, DocuSign was a new position. From a timing perspective, that's interesting to note. Taiwan Semiconductors and Flutter I guess that's entertainment. I'm not familiar with that company, but he made a large increase in his holdings. So I should probably look that up and figure out, what's up with Flutter. But this is the thing, this is part of research. This is the thing. This is part of research. I mean, you can look at what they own and pick out one or two stocks and then do your research on it, which is, invaluable tool to zeroing in on some of the biggest opportunities in the stock market. Let's go back to the website. Okay, I'm going to look at one more. Let's take a look at the big guy, Warren Buffett. Aha, so here's Warren Buffett. Here's his 13F filing. Okay, so as we probably knew, his biggest holding is Apple, followed by American Express, Coca-Cola, Bank of America, and we know that he loves the integrated oil and gas companies, Chevron and Occidental Petroleum. Warren is not as active as some of these hedge funds are. He's more of a buy and hold kind of guy. So there's not a lot of activity in the past quarter. But you can see from this in incredibly granular detail what he owns and, what the size of his positions are and what he's done in the last quarter. Let's see if we hit largest trades, what we get. All right, largest trades. Constellation Brands, interesting, up 113% in terms of his position. There's the ownership history. Yeah, this is just incredible information. Pool Corp, Domino's, Sirius, interesting. It looks like he bought a little bit more of Occidental Petroleum. He keeps adding to Occidental Petroleum. And this is interesting too. Largest stock sells. Okay, Bank of America. He reduced his holdings by 7.15%. Look at this. He sold his entire share of, or position rather, in Citicorp. That's interesting. I happen to think Citicorp's one of the worst money center banks on the planet. New holdings, sold it out. Liberty Media, sold down almost 50%. DaVita, it's just very interesting to be able to see this in this level of granularity. Just fantastic.
Okay, so in this video, you learned how to track the world's greatest investors, how to monitor their trades both in and out, look at their largest positions and what they've bought and sold in the quarter. Now it's your job to get after it, start doing your research, and start co-investing with the world's greatest investors. I'm going to sit by the pool here and have a couple margaritas, but it's your job to get after it and get to work and do the research and up your game and make a ton of money in the market with what I've shown you in this video. All right, well, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next video.